October 6th, regularly scheduled school board meeting. As always, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Lily, would you mind leading?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, thank you.
All right. We'll move right into board comments and committee updates. Are there any committee updates to start with?
Yeah, so Phil and I met with Todd for the policy meeting 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And there's going to be some policies here that we will present at that time. And then we just reviewed the policy with graduation requirements. That was it. And then that same week I had a meeting with the Seacoast Science Technology School, and we approved the budget for that school for next year, which is crazy to think about already. And we had a really cool presentation with a student that's active in, I believe it was the welding program there, so just kind of a neat idea of what goes on there. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Any other grades?
The professional development, we met just once so far, so we haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, you've kicked off anyways.
We kicked off.
All right, good. Any other comments?
Yeah, the budget committee met the other night and they have penciled in January 9th for the school district budget hearing. So
okay.
that'll be the public hearing. Other than committees, just as a comment, I over the past couple of weeks have gotten to go to a few soccer games, which has been a lot of fun. One thing I did want to bring up for the board's attention, just nothing to discuss tonight, but maybe we should get together with the rec department and kind of talk about the soccer field. The condition, I mean, not great. There's definitely an opportunity there to, I think, do a little more to make that field less conducive to injuries and just generally overall better for the athletes. I got to talk to a few folks on the sideline about some ideas about either improving the crown of the field or the drainage or both. So, you know, as we think about budgeting and CIP, probably something worth giving some thought to.
Yeah, I think technically it'd be the Department of Public Works who do the maintenance in there. But yeah, we should definitely do that. It's been, historically, it's been an issue for many, many years. So we should definitely look into that. Thank you, Dan. Any other comments? Thoughts?
If I could just hear real quick, I had the opportunity to attend the elementary school cross-country meet 2 weeks ago, and I am just thoroughly impressed with Mrs. Miller and the other teachers that ran that. The organizing, there's over 200 elementary school students for them to run a mile, and the students were like actually excited to run a mile, which to me is incredible. But my hat's off to them that they were able to organize that. I think I saw the teachers there in the morning and then during the weekend setting up, so it's above and beyond.
And they're an amazing group, absolutely. All right, no other comments, updates, we'll move on. Lily, would you mind giving us your student report?
Of course. This is a long one, but it's all good stuff. Homecoming was just last week at the high school, so spirit is at an all-time high. The Student Council's homecoming dance had over 150 attendees. The seniors won the Mule Cup, and the girls' varsity soccer team won their homecoming game, so huge congratulations all around. For more information on homecoming and photos from the events, you can visit the student body's new blog, Newmarket Buzz. Senior Keegan Hayes, as an extension of her ELO with the English department, has started a school blog to keep everyone up to date with the events at the high school. You can visit 23haysk.wixsite.com/Newmarket-buzz.
Got it.
Yeah, to read their most
again.
recent article on homecoming week. I had to practice that one a couple times in the car.
Maybe we can get a link put up somewhere on the SAU site.
The National Honor Society is collecting gently used costumes and accessories for their Halloween costume drive. Drop-off bins are located in the lobbies of the elementary and high school, and all donations will be given to Newmarket families in need of costumes. The Honor Society is also working with the Red Cross to hold a community blood drive in the high school cafeteria from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock on Tuesday, November 1st. Donors can schedule their appointment by visiting redcrossblood.org and entering Newmarket HS, but walk-ins are also welcome. Finally, the Honor Society is ramping up for its yearly leaf raking fundraiser. The service is free for those in need, but if you can't afford it, the Society suggests a donation to a charity of your choice. So if your yard could use a raking, stay tuned for a sign-up sheet that should be doing the rounds on Facebook in the coming weeks. The Student Council is holding their annual Socktober event, where they will be collecting new socks to donate to homeless shelters in the area throughout the month of October. Drop-off bins are located in the middle and high school English rooms. Finally, the boys varsity soccer team will be playing at Epping High School at 12 o'clock on the 8th, and the girls varsity soccer team will be playing at Epping High School at 10 o'clock on the 8th. I'm sure they'd love to see some fans in the bleachers. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Lila, and thank you for mentioning the EL program. So I understand it's been off to a very strong start this year, so it's fantastic to hear. Todd, who's attending remotely, do you have a superintendent's report?
Yeah, can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, well, first of all, thank you for humoring me with voting in. I woke up this morning a little under the weather, and just to be safe, I decided not to come to work today. So I'm protecting you all from whatever I'm carrying around. Anyway, I just had a few things I wanted to talk about today. I actually kind of piggybacking off the students' report. That Spirit Week was just a remarkable week. You know, the artwork that was on display there in the lobby outside the gym, the banners that were done by all the classes, just amazing stuff. And I keep running into people all over town talking about the lip sync contest. So they clearly, really made an impression on a lot of people. So it's really nice to see normal, spirited, happy stuff going on in their schools. So. I'm not going to go into great detail because this is going to be the subject of everything we do probably for the next couple of months, but we are well on meetings with all the department heads, and I can't tell you enough how impressed I am and how carefully we are going through all of our budgets and finding areas that we can save and so forth, but at the same time making sure we're able to support the programs that we have. So we're doing a great job there. Obviously, October 17th is coming up soon, and that's the board budget workshop, which clearly our team will share with you all the specifics of where we're at that point. But we're, as I said, well on our way. Jana is just a remarkable business administrator. She's on top of everything. She pulls the data together, so I'm very excited to kind of go through our first go around with you guys on that. So that's the first thing. Second thing I wanted to mention, I was at a meeting earlier this week with SST, and I think I mentioned this last time. There is a new law in New Hampshire that requires all the sending schools to career technical centers to coordinate their school calendars. And so effective July 1, there can be no more than a total from all of the schools of 10 conflicts. So we have 6 sending schools to SST, and in order to meet the requirements of the law, we're going to have to do some concessions in terms of how our calendar has historically been structured. I would say I was actually very pleased in the nature of the dialogue with we had Sanborn, Hampton, Raymond, Epping, and Exeter, and obviously Newmarket. Very collaborative effort. Everybody was willing to make adjustments as they could. But obviously, bottom line is school calendar is a board decision. So I just wanted to kind of give you the heads up that there are probably going to be a few shifts in the calendar. For example, we're going to have the September workshop day will have to be at a different day simply because we need to make sure it's on the same day that other schools are doing workshops to minimize conflicts. We have a couple of workshop days that we are going to have to move for that reason. One of the things that came up is most of the schools that send to SST, they have their school facilities are voting places, so they tend to have their PD days on voting days. So that's different from what Newmarket has done, certainly at least this year. So I anticipate some changes there. The other thing which we will have to do with the Wednesday early release day concept that we have had, not the regular one, just the 30-minute release, but the 4 that are half days. We are going to have to move 2 of those align with the other school districts so that we're not conflicting, because for Newmarket kids who are in the PM SST program, if we end school at noon, they're missing out. So if we can align our early release days to days that are workshop days, we can minimize the number of conflicts. So I don't have a draft calendar to put before you today. We're still working on it, but I anticipate bringing that to you soon, because I think it's something we'll probably want to start talking about and taking action on. The thing I think that most people are concerned about is the scheduling of vacation weeks. I think as long as it appears that all the schools are comfortable with the traditional weeks that Newmarket has had, so I don't think there's going to be a need to move February, April vacation. One topic that did come up was the start date of school, and the way the law is written, it doesn't count until after Labor Day. So it doesn't matter. We can start as early before Labor Day as we want, and those don't count as conflicts. That being said, our kids will still miss out on learning if it's not aligned with the SST groups. So anyway, I just want to make you aware of that. Probably next meeting I'll bring you a draft of where we're at, just so you can kind of get a sense of that. But probably before the end of the calendar year, we're going to need to decide on our calendar. Any questions about that?
Nope, thank you very much.
All right, the next thing I wanted to mention was we just finished last week. We did the shooting for our first ever Newmarket School District Corner, Channel 13 video segment.
I think it was pretty much just a blooper roll that we created. Yeah.
So anyway, so please be kind. It's our first try. I know Tim Kremen is in the process of editing it and getting it ready for us, but we hope to have that out to the community to see in the very near future. And then again, our hope is to make it kind of a regular segment. So we'll probably be pulling various members of our school community in. I'm seeing Jody Callahan sitting there in the audience, so I know we'll probably have her in a segment here very soon to talk about the Hamilton program. So anyway, it went very well. Gary and I were very nervous. However, I don't know, Gary, we did all right?
I think I was nervous. You didn't show it at all, so I don't know if you were, but.
I was shaking in my boots the whole time. Okay, so anyway, so that's coming. Kind of the last thing I wanted to just mention, I had the opportunity to meet with a group of football parents in the community, Megan Arthur, Laura McKay, and Daniel Bolden. Their parents, their sons play on the Epic Newmarket football team, and they had reached out to me to just talk about what we could do to better promote the program and support the football program. We spent quite a bit of time talking about transportation, because quite frankly that's the biggest thing that we could probably do to help them out, and they have practice every day over in Epping. Unfortunately, right now we just don't have the option of providing that transportation. But we did talk about that as potentially a future thing. But we also talked about what a great program it is, what a great relationship Epping and Newmarket have with that program, and their desire, even though their sons are aging out of the program, their desire to stay involved in it to kind of set things up for success in the future. Kind of piggybacking off something that Dan said about the field over at the rec field. I mean, clearly. That field gets a lot of use. And one of the things we did talk about was, gee, wouldn't it be nice if on homecoming week we could host a home football game too and have them play over here? Because next week we're playing, they have an Epping homecoming game, but it'd be nice to have a home football game just once a year so everybody can see the program and kids can get some of that positive attention. Unfortunately, right now we don't have a place to do that wouldn't be problematic. So we did talk about the possibility of what we could do to improve fields. So clearly that's, I think, an area of common interest for a lot of people. And I think that's all I have for you.
Your mention of transportation made me think of the hockey program over in Portsmouth, which also I'm sure could use some sort of transportation, which made me think of a text I got from someone recently that there's a video documentary on the Portsmouth Newmarket hockey team that was being presented at the Portsmouth Music Hall, and I don't know if it's already already happened or not. I apologize, I should have that information, but yeah, it was actually someone, a son of one of the coaches or something had done some documentary, and it was going to be shown that included Newmarket, so if anyone's heard of it?
That would be great if we could actually bring that to town and maybe have
Yeah.
a screening of it in
Yeah.
the school.
Absolutely, great idea. All right, thank you, Todd. Any other thoughts or comments on superintendent report? No? Moving right along, we have Jason Carey, the IT director, to come to speak with us about school board technology devices. Jason and I briefly talked before the meeting. What's that?
I think we figured it out.
Briefly talked before the meeting, and he mentioned that another option is also some of the existing devices they have from previous years that might be able to be used without any cost or very little. So,
Sure. Does everyone have this?
Yes.
So just did a quick comparison of Apple iPad, 11-inch Chromebook, 14-inch Chromebook, and then laptops, which is rather general, right? You have all different options there, but those are the 4 most widely used devices across the district. I think we have maybe 300 iPads, about 1,000 Chromebooks, and maybe 150 to 200 laptops. So pros and cons to each one. I think from what I gathered from Superintendent Allen, would you want to replace the board packet? That's kind of the...
so yeah, that's basically the idea. Instead of Patty doesn't like us having, nor do any of us, packets of paper.
Yeah,
So the idea is just to have something we can get on
And if that's...
the Google Drive.
It's
And
important to note that Patty is really the OneDrive. Patty is the passionate
Absolutely.
Environmentalist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So, and we can always give it a shot, right? If you hate it, you send them back, and we'll go from there. So I'll leave it up to you. I put a note at the bottom that we have iPads, the 11-inch Chromebooks, and laptops in stock. The laptop is might be a little bit overkill for what you're trying to accomplish. Then you get into screen size of the iPads and the 11-inch Chromebooks. The 14-inch Chromebook might be the best option.
Yeah.
We'd have to order those. But the 11s we do have. So if you want to try a couple of 11s, or everyone take an 11-inch Chromebook and give those a shot, see how it goes. We could always order the 14. So.
No, I mean, I would be very happy with one that's aged out for the kids and using that and trying it, to be honest with you.
That's fine.
So
If they're still serviceable.
they are. I would say we could give you. We have plenty of new stock that we keep for spares, and I'd prefer to give you one of those instead of one that's 5 years old and you can't access the packet when you're in the middle of a meeting. So
Oh, okay.
All right.
unless you want an old one,
I,
give you.
I would rather try it, and if that becomes a problem, we can pivot. But what do you folks think?
If we take one that's in reserve right now, is that going to impact your ability to service students or teachers?
No,
Okay.
no.
Without ordering new ones?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So with the 11-inch, we buy about 200 a year for our one-to-one program. So 5th grade, 9th grade, and I usually carry 10% in spares, as opposed to purchasing an insurance, and we just do the repairs in house. So plenty of spares. We wouldn't be without. So.
I mean, I'm comfortable with that as long as you promise to let us know if you do run low on spares, and we can pivot to something
Come
else.
collect
'Cause-
them. Yeah,
yeah.
I think we'll be plenty good.
Do you guys want to try that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
Just,
you.
I'm fine with what.
Oh, you already have your laptop, so yeah. And I just heard a cheer from Patty at home, I think.
How
Great.
about I'll coordinate with Patty on distribution, and you all have Newmarket accounts, so you just log in with those. And
It sounds like you just need 4. Dan
Yeah.
gets his right on
Oh, good.
his iPad, so
perfect.
great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, anything else while I'm here?
No. Sorry to keep you so long.
Yeah, no worries.
All
Thank
3
you.
minutes. All right. Thanks, Jason. Next up, we have a school district counseling report by Jody Callahan, who interestingly is the only person in Newmarket history to have 15 jobs, 10 of which she did last year.
Exactly. Come on, you guys. I brought a team with me.
Nice.
Well, while the team is getting set up, if I could just say, I mean, it's a really exciting thing for Newmarket. This is really the first time, and actually, Jody and I have talked many times about how much fun it is for her to only have one job. It is a big job, but it's the first time we've had a counseling fabulous job kind of getting her hands dirty, kind of figuring out what we need to do and kind of building the program. So Jody, well done, and thank you for bringing your team.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks, guys, for having us. It's nice to have the opportunity to do a little goodwill in the community and talk about what we're able to do instead of what we're not able to do, which is nice. So today we have Lex Catalano as a senior, and Lex is going to talk about their ELO experience. You're going to hear a little bit more about Lex's ELO, and you heard a little from our friend Lola, too, about another ELO that's going on. And we have Amanda Nieves is the junior senior high school school psychologist, and Caitlin Skina is our junior senior high school social worker. So I thought that their roles are really pretty unique, and that it might be helpful to understand what their roles are too. So I'm just going to give you an overview of what we've got going on for the year first, and then let them pipe up too. So I did have a PowerPoint. I shared it with you more than just wanted to show it in the background because it has a lot of links to calendars, to websites where people can find more information. There's all kinds of links in there that I think can be useful for you as down the road rather than when we're sitting here. So,
Great.
But Amanda is often my resource for understanding historically what's been going on in the district, and she had said it's been 5 years since we've had a school counseling director, but she said even at that time that person was really primarily focused on the high school because there's so much that's going on. You were in my office today laughing at me. I have a monthly calendar by date that's 8 by 8, and it has everything going on from the 3 times a year NEWA testing for the middle school, to then the 4 days of SAS testing for the middle school, to PSATs, to SATs, to guest speakers, to days off. And you looked at it, what'd you say to me?
There was something every day. I think I saw maybe 5 days in the whole calendar that someone
We have to keep
on.
Jody busy. She gets
No,
very...
and you know what? It's a team effort, but I keep track so I know where everybody is or what they're doing, and we're just trying to make sure there's that vertical alignment across the district, which is something I think is unique too. That's why if you're driving by the high school and you see the digital board, you'll see that we have monthly themes that the advisors can then incorporate into advisories, circle times at the elementary school. There's Google Classrooms that the counselors have developed with resources that advisors can then also utilize during circle time and in advisories as well. So there's resources provided to staff to use based on those monthly themes as well. But what's been really nice is now we have, I feel like, a real full staff. I mean, everybody knows about this mental health crisis. This is my 20th year as a counselor and my 9th year as a counseling director. I've never seen the amount of need as we've seen. It's you see, I started seeing the tables turn probably like 3 or 4 years ago, even within the kids, even with their terminology. We used to hear words like, oh, I'm worried about this or I'm worried about that. And now kids are saying, well, I have anxiety. And at, in 6th grade and 5th grade and 4th grade. And so you're starting to see things younger and younger and words being used. But I have an anxiety disorder, but they're like self-diagnosing too. And they do truly feel that is what they have. So I feel like we've built a really good department. We joke every day that I think out of the school year we've only had 4 days where we've been completely staffed due to either maternity leaves or illness, and that's not going to change for us because we have another baby due next week. So Caitlin is going to go back to being a district-wide school social worker. So thank goodness for her. She's done that for years, so she was getting a little bit of a reprieve. Good news is we do have an intern for school social worker with us too this year, which is fantastic. So she's with us in the district for 2 days as well. But we always say the movie Field of Dreams, and they said, you build it and they will come. I feel like we built it. We built a really comfortable environment this year physically. We keep the doors open. We have our faces on the window with a little bios about ourselves, just to bring about a different feeling. And they do come. It is a very, very, very busy place. I worked at Pinkerton with 3,400 students for 4 years. I wasn't as busy as I am here. And I think that speaks to the small community and the level that we get to know these kids, which it is. It's all about relationship building. So it's a positive. We want to be there helping the kids. And I feel like we're making more and more strides to be more friendly environment for the students to want to come to too. So that's been good. But so everything that we looked at to develop for this school year's programming, all of our initiatives support the 3 domains of counseling, which are academic, career, and social emotional. So everything that we're doing identifies all of those areas. So for the past few weeks, we've been with, well, a handful of our junior high school students, a certain percentage of our junior high school students, and almost all high school students to provide the Connors Climb suicide prevention training to those students. And that's required by the state, but it's such an important message and something that we're really happy to be able to do this at the school year too. That was really one of our first goals, was let's get Connors Climb instruction out. We also had a speaker come in on the September 26th PD day, who also provided the district staff with their 2 hours yearly required of suicide prevention training. So that, I think we're pretty excited, happened in September because we want to make sure that everybody's prepared to help in any way they can. So that's we still have some work to do with the junior high grades, but I feel like we've done a really good job at the high school level too. So that's been very helpful. Another thing we were able to bring back this year too is we have about 30 college admissions reps that have been coming into the school building to meet with our seniors and juniors. They're listed in Naviance, so these guys can go into Naviance. We showed them. I said it again today in our senior meeting, right? Go in there, look at that, come meet these people, because the reps that come here are the reps that are going to be reading your college applications. So that hasn't happened, I think, in about 3 years since the last time you had college admissions reps in the building. So it's a great connection for the students too. We also had, I giggle at this, and I look at Amanda because she has a military family too, but we had 3 different branches of the military. We decided the last Wednesday of the month would be military time in the lunchrooms. So we had 3 different branches that came in last week. And the kids, I had never seen such enthusiasm with the military visits. They were trying to outplank each other, out-push up each other, out-sit up each other. And so I said to Jamie Hayes, I never saw kids excited about your PE class like that. That's amazing. It was so exciting. And I went and grabbed one of them. I can't remember which one. I said, you gotta come see this. The noise level was great. You know, it was just, there was so much. And just to see the kids so excited again about anything, that was like the first round. That was right before homecoming too, right? Or was it in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, yeah, that's right. So it was great. So they're going to be here with us about 6 more times this school year. So a couple of kids kept saying, when are they coming again? I'm like, okay, start working on your planks, because hopefully you'll get a, I don't know, free plastic. You're getting plastic bottles, and I mean, it was just a good connection for the community too. We're going to have motivational speaker Ed Garrity is actually coming in November 15th. He's going to provide 2 different speaking sessions, one for the junior high students and then one for the high school students. He's amazing. I've seen him speak probably 4 or 5 times. He gets the kids, you can't sit there and listen to him. You guys are going to laugh. He will, all right, everybody up, get up, clap. And he makes you clap and he gets you up and he's moving. So by the time you're walking out of there, you feel like you've run a marathon. But so we have him coming in November 15th to try to just help motivate students, reminding them, like, you know, your grades here are important, who you are is important. So we're looking forward to that. We're working on a speaker at the elementary school level too. We also have elementary and middle school lunch groups that have already launched this week too, which we haven't had in a few years. And then we have New Hampshire Higher Education Foundation. has a number of parent information nights. We have about 5 information nights that are all listed on that PowerPoint I emailed to all of you. Everything from like paying for college 101 to applying, what's early college. So there's a number of evening, and it's all Zoom, which we found people love to be able to attend from home. So much better. We already had FAFSA night to talk about financial aid too. So that's nice that that's back and going too. Every Wednesday, the counselors are going into middle school advisories to do back to the world of character education and relationship building activities with the students, which is going to be great too, because whenever we see a theme of maybe some certain behaviors happening at the middle school, we can go in and tailor what those lessons look like to try to talk about alternative behaviors for things that may be going on. What did you guys do yesterday? You told me to.
So the theme for the month is creativity, but it's also bullying prevention month for October. So we kind of tied those two together, and we talked about courage and how it takes courage to stand up for someone when you see that someone's being bullied, and do what you know is right, even when it's hard to say that to your friends. And we brought in the creativity element by having them do some heart art. And so they had a paper with a heart on it, and they designated different colors to different emotions, and they got to design their heart with their different emotions. And we have some really creative 6th graders I saw. So that was fun to see them.
Thank you. They were like, it's like tie-dye of my heart.
And we're taking those, and we're going to be hanging them up in the hallway too, so they can be displayed.
Nice.
But just another thing that we did this year was we made sure when we first came in, the walls were so barren. And I'm like, am I in a school or in a hospital? And I said, I don't want to work in a hospital. I don't like illness. So we ordered bulletin boards, 1 for each grade, put it in their hallway. And the teachers are supposed to put things up on their bulletin board that relate to whatever that monthly theme is. And they've done a nice job, but it sounds like some of these will also be put up there too. So it's just another nice way to make the kids proud, and they wanted to show each other what they did in the hallway. So remember those days? You liked your own artwork.
Apparently now.
And then another area too, obviously, is ELOs. Jamie Hayes would have been here tonight to talk more about that too. He's out refereeing games since there's a shortage there. Jamie and I are both part of the New Hampshire ELO network, as well as a local ELO network. So we've been able to develop different contacts through the Chamber of Commerce's, Newmarket Business Association. Jamie's going to attend meetings for that as well. But he and I did some legwork over the summer. Well, actually, we started before that, right? Yeah. We started last spring, and we were at a sophomore, junior meeting that Miss Bison was having about, I don't know, post-high school planning or something. And he and I said, listen, does anybody know what an ELO is? It's not Electric Light Orchestra, but the kids are like, what is that? And I said, oh, I'm over 50. Sorry, you're younger than my kids. I'm like, no, extended learning opportunities. It's that experience that you can get outside of the classroom that we just can't duplicate here, that you can do so much with. There's so many, it's open-ended enough where it makes some students nervous. Because they're like, what do you mean it doesn't have to fit into this round hole? I'm like, nope, you can be the square peg, we're good, let's just figure this out. So we have some really unique, right now, like I said earlier, we have about 15 students that are currently doing ELOs. Last year, I had started working with some students on some ELOs, so we did manage to do 4 last year, which was still great. But this year it's 15. 4 of them are in-house because they're the journalism ELOs. No matter what connections that Jamie and I had with the media locally, people are just, sound like they work from home, they go to a game, they don't want the help, they're busy. I really wasn't getting any buy-in, even from Jen Wheeler, who's the president of Exeter Chamber of Commerce. She's like, I can't find you anybody. I said, I know, I think everybody's just freelancing, and So we pulled in-house to Meg Fiore and Amanda Brower, two of our English teachers, and I just happened to be a journalism major 30-something years ago. So we have Keegan Hayes is running the blog, the main blog that you mentioned. It's going to be awesome.
What was the URL of that? No.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat it, Gary.
He's determined to make next meeting's minutes horrible to review.
We'll let Lila do that again. But it will be up on our website, and her goal is to talk about every activity at the school. And then she has two other students who are going to be giving her 2 articles a week to add into her blog. So the really 3 of them are working on this one blog. And then we have another student who's a junior who has a blog called Cup of Joe. And she's looking at New Hampshire related topics, so outside of our world. So she's working right now on designing what that website's going to look like too. So that'll be out there soon. And we have another senior who is working on very grassroots marketing. It's a pretty awesome opportunity to launch a new nonprofit called 603 Equity, it's called. So that student's doing a lot of work on that right now. So I think the timeline was January or February when this new nonprofit was supposed to be launched too. So that's more at the state level too. And then we have Lex Conolato, who is going to talk to us about their ELO that's happening right now with Seacoast Science Center. Right here. Get closer here.
Hi everyone. As Ms. Callahan introduced me, thank you for having me, by the way. I'm Lex Catalano. I'm a senior, and I'm doing an ELO. I have my little outline packet here. If you don't mind if I come and give it to you, just so you
Great.
can
Thank you so much.
reference
Yeah.
it. Okay. Sorry, I didn't send this to you before.
No, it's fine.
They don't have computers anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, soon we'll be able to.
Don't
yeah.
blame it on
Thank you.
Jason. Don't
Oops.
worry about it. That's
No, it's
what
all
we
me.
do.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Of course. And I did print one out for you, but you're not here, so I'll share it to you online.
I'll hold it up, yeah.
Thanks for thinking of me.
Of course. But yeah, so I'm in a 12-week ELO program at the Chico Science Center. It's actually a great opportunity. There's only 13 of us in the course right now, so it's a very small, selective group of people who are really just passionate about marine science and looking to kind of promote just general sustainability and keeping our oceans safe and all those kind of fun things. It was actually introduced to me by our counseling program. They send about 1 million emails a week, which I love. I personally check all my emails. I know many students don't, but I do, and I love them. So this is how I found out about this. And I applied, and luckily I got in. So the course is 12 weeks. It goes over everything from the actual Chico Science Center itself to our own research projects. So during this 12 weeks, we'll be conducting our own scientific research projects and putting them together in a whole like community wide thing that anyone can come and see kind of what we researched about, and that'll be of our own choosing and of our own interests, which I think is really cool because I know my interest definitely differs from the girls sitting next to me. Which is really cool. I'm really lucky to be able to explore marine science deeper because I want to study environmental science in college. So having this opportunity to be able to do this as part of a school credit and like not have it be in a classroom setting, it's just fantastic for me. I'm definitely a person who likes to get out there and be hands-on. I know our first week we kind of like explored the park. Our second week we actually went kayaking. Don't recommend going kayaking during a hurricane. Let me tell you, going under a bridge, not easy. It was not a pleasant experience. But it was genuinely a great time. The people there are great. We were learning a lot about the salt marshes and the ecosystems that were out there. And then this past weekend, we did a bio blitz. So it's something that the Chico Science Center has been doing for like over 15 years now. So once a year, they'll go out and collect a bunch of info about places around the park. So there's like a tide pooling. People got up at 6:30 a.m. to go bird watching. I did not do that, but like congrats to those people. But we also did what's called seine netting, which I thought was really cool. I'd never heard of it. But basically we just went out, took a big net, it was about 20-ish feet long, and just dragged it in to see what we were going to find and what kind of like creatures were out that we hadn't seen before. And one of the people who was kind of leading it, he's been involved for about 10 years, and it was his first time seeing an Atlantic look down. So that was pretty cool. I know it doesn't sound cool if you're not really interested in marine science, but it was pretty cool. We saw a bunch of different shrimp and was able to get a bunch of data for the Chico Science Center, and we all kind of made our observations, and we all contributed that day. So that was really fun. And then we're going to be learning about like invasive species, marine mammal rescue, all the things that are listed in there, as well as doing our own research projects on our own time and committing that for ourselves and our interests. So that's kind of my ELO. That's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm doing it. So yeah,
Well,
do you have any
if
questions?
you'd be willing to come back and give a presentation of your
Absolutely.
study, that would be fantastic. I think we'd all love to see that.
I could do that, or I could send you all the date if you're available, and you can come do the
Yeah, we could do
walkthrough.
that too.
but
Yeah. Oh,
maybe
better. Yeah.
both.
There you go.
But yeah, any other questions?
First, I want to compliment you on how good of a public speaker you are. I've had to make presentations before school boards before, and you definitely have a talent to hold our attention, and I'm excited. So good job. Can I ask, how does it fit in your school day?
Yeah, so it's a block in my school day. It doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be a 9th class.
Okay.
But I have the flexibility in my schedule to put it in as the 1.5-hour block. It's my B block currently. So I'm in the library. Sometimes I'm using it as a study hall if I don't have anything as part of my research project. But if there's something that I need to get done for my ELO, or I'm tracking hours, I'm doing stuff, like I'm creating a Google Doc of basically everything I've learned. So I'm doing that during that time. It's very rarely used as a study hall, but in the rare case that I need it to be, it will, because I meet once every week for the ELO, like at the Chico Science Center. So sometimes 2 or 3 days of an ELO block can be a little much for the amount of work that I feel I need to be doing outside of that. But it is a really helpful time because personally, I probably would forget to do a lot of that stuff if it wasn't for this block. Like I probably wouldn't be recording the hours. I wouldn't be like tracking everything I know. We have like these little notebooks, but I don't really think anyone's using them. So it's definitely like helpful for me to have that time to kind of interact with what I've done.
That's great.
Thank you. And you drive yourself when you have to go to the
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
Okay.
It's not a far drive. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. Oh no. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of piggybacking on Andrew's question, just schedule-wise, do you think this is something that could only work for a junior or a senior, or is this something that a student could potentially do multiple years?
So I personally think that depending on the person, they could do it multiple years. Like I'm someone who has a lot of different interests. I don't think I can really put myself in a hole. So it's really important to me to get to do this, and I'm looking to do another one next semester. So I definitely think kids like myself who kind of need that extra experience, don't really know what they're going to be doing after high school. I do think that they could use more than 1 year of this, but I don't think for every student that would be the case. I don't think every student has to have that exploration. But if a student like has one thing that they're really passionate about and they know that, that would also be a great time for that. So I guess it kind of depends on the student and the student's needs. But yeah, I guess hypothetically they could if they were really interested in so many different things and wanted to explore so many different things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And do you meet during your block, a block of school time, or after school?
Yeah, so I meet during my school block. I don't have any other like blocks that are open. Like I don't have any other free blocks. This is kind of like my free block, but I meet with Miss Callanan or Jimmy Hayes to kind of talk about the progress I'm making and the things I'm learning. And it's just kind of a check-in time. So it is during the school day.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming and giving that presentation.
What's a look down? Atlantic
It's a
look
fish.
down?
Yeah. I was going to wait till I got home and Googled it, but I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. That was something I learned too. I had no idea what they were. makes you feel better, so it's okay.
Like, are they condescending? I don't understand the name. Like, are they looking down?
No, their eyes are like actually look downs.
Oh.
So like all they do is look down at the ocean. They can never look up. That's just the type of fish they are.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they've never been in the New
What kind of
England Chico
adaptation?
Science area until now.
I have a Jody question too. But
Please.
So do I, actually, when we get back to it. But
I know Chico Science Center, which is awesome, right? They're an ELO opportunity, but they're also part of the Learn Everywhere program. So I was wondering, are we also connecting or providing the opportunity for students like to know of Learn Everywhere programs that are in the area as well?
We are just both getting our feet wet with what's available and what's out there. We do have 2 other students that are currently working through the LNA program. Now, I don't know if that's a part of the Learn Everywhere necessarily, or if that's something that Jamie located through the ELO, but we going into 6. We're learning what the ELOs are really and what's out there and available. And I've been tapping into Winnicott High School a lot for their knowledge. They actually have 2 full-time ELO coordinators there and could use a 3rd is what they're telling me in a school that size, of course. So we're still looking for resources. Our kids have a multitude of interest, and I can't always find spots that are willing to take them at this point.
Which is just, so the state board's approved multiple Learn Everywhere programs where individuals can, like, it sort of takes some of the workload off of the local school district because they're already approved and they just have to get connected to these programs. So highly encourage, potentially, I don't know, Todd, talk to the department about like who might be the best person to help just give you the list of contacts and resources that are already approved for this.
That would be perfect. Especially these folks are our best advertisers of what an ELO can be. Please tell your friends, let them know what we can be looking for to go out and find too. So as soon as I find somebody has an interest, it'd be great to know other places I can go other than tapping into some of the other area school districts. So that would be helpful, so thank you. Yep. So Amanda Nieves, I'm sorry, Gary. Did Dan?
Actually, let me hold off until, you may get it as you go through the rest of it.
I may not, but we'll get there, right? So, Amanda Nieves, I'll have Amanda talk a little bit next about her role, and this is what, your 6th year here?
7.
Oh, 7. Wow, look at that.
It's crazy. I look at some of the seniors. I'm like, no, you're all taller. I remember you in 6th grade, you know. So hi. So I'm the school psychologist. So I have kind of a hand in both worlds of school counseling and special education, which is very helpful a lot of times because we can have kind of a collaborative relationship between the two. When it comes to things like doing scheduling, you know, I can sit down and talk with Chris Bison and with Jody about, okay, these students have to have this service in here, and we kind of figure out the puzzle pieces. I also am a resource for the kind of everyone, the general education teachers, the special education teachers, and the counselors to kind of get a better understanding of a student's individual needs, because I'm the one who does all that testing and the evaluations. And then, of course, we do the counseling, and so I do counseling through students' IEPs. I do regular counseling for general education students as needed, and then we have what we call drop-ins. So kids who, they're having a tough day, they come in, they need to see someone, and we are lucky that, you know, as Jody said, we are so well staffed. It's not often you find a school who has a full-time school psychologist that stays in that building, or a full-time social worker. I mean, that's kind of unheard of. So we're very lucky in that way, and we're able to take on more of those mental health needs and kind of help kids get through their day. And we're finding that we do have a lot of those needs, and so it's good that we do have so many people in our department, because where it's never boring. It's never a dull moment. So that's kind of where my expertise comes in, is kind of bridging that gap and bringing in the special education side to the counseling side.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when you mentioned drop-ins,
Mhm.
so how many, like, average a day? Like, and when you mean drop-ins, just students that you've never seen before, they're new to you, or?
It could be,
They
yeah,
don't-
it could be students that we don't know very well, and it's kind of a one-off, or maybe they've come in, you know, in the past once or twice, and they just need to talk through their feelings in that moment. But we also do have kids that come in regularly. We see some kids that come in almost daily.
And do you make outside connections for therapy for
Yep,
them?
absolutely. And I think she's going to talk about that. That's really her bailiwick.
Because
but
I know it's
yes.
so hard to get into counseling
It
at
is.
this moment in time.
It is.
So I just,
absolutely.
if you guys have resources, you know, that's great for our students, because I've heard that you can't get it into a counselor.
It's
It's
very
crazy.
difficult, yes, yeah. We're finding in the surrounding areas, and I mean this is probably a much larger issue, not just in the Seacoast, but it's hard to find therapists who have availability and who are willing to take your insurance. Those are the
yeah.
two big
Right.
ones. There's a lot of therapists who are actually moving towards not taking insurance; they're just accepting out of pocket. Yeah, that's a trend that we're seeing, so that makes
That's not
it,
a good trend.
even more difficult.
No.
And then not connecting. Just because you finally find somebody who's willing to take you on, you may not even connect to that person.
Right.
So then you're back at square one. So that's where these guys are helping bridge that gap too. And Caitlin, you want to pop in?
Sure. Hi, I'm Caitlin Skina. I'm the school social worker. I've been the district social worker for 4 school years now. We finally hired another social worker for the elementary school who is going on maternity leave now. So I will be the district social worker again. I'm also the district suicide prevention coordinator. Lucky for me, I went and got my MSW at UNH not too long ago, so I do have so many connections in the local area from people that my professors are therapists, my friends that I went to school with, and then, just the UNH alumni. So we do have quite a broad array of people that we work with, and that's another huge part of my job, is just developing relationships within the town. So I've worked with Pastor Patty from the Newmarket Community Church quite a bit. We're coordinating with the library as well. We're kind of sharing with them what the counseling department's doing, and they're planning on setting up a little area to coordinate books with what we're doing. So creativity will be this month, and bullying prevention. I've worked really closely with Seacoast Mental Health. We typically have one clinician in each building. This year we're having trouble staffing the Newmarket Junior Senior High School with the clinician, but we have a great clinician at the elementary school who's been there for like 19 years, I believe. So we're working on that. Working closely with other school districts, like Jody had mentioned. I'm on the board of the New Hampshire School Social Workers Association, so we have quite a bit of knowledge that comes from there as well. Just really a lot of my job is making these connections. And then helping families that are low income, that's another huge part of my job. I help out a lot with the free and reduced lunch at the beginning of the year. The warm clothing vouchers. If you guys are parents, you've probably gotten the emails from me getting those, working with the Exeter Children's Chamber to get those out to families. Thanksgiving, we do food baskets. At Christmas, we do toys. For Black History Month, I've been going into classrooms and, I'm just kind of going through the calendar in my head, sorry. So a lot of it is working directly with families. I've done home visits. I have worked with local child protection agencies, everything that we can to increase that kind of homeschool connection and the community and school connection. And then the regular counseling as well. I do regular education counseling, special education counseling, and a lot of the well in school. So like if there's a suicidal student, I'm kind of the point person on that. So that's me.
That's a big.
Yeah, having
Big
a
list.
spouse who's a K-8 school counselor, I can say the issues that you guys have to deal with are shocking and upsetting at times. And the fact that you come back at all it is mind-boggling, let alone, with a positive attitude and can help these kids the way you do. We're very lucky.
One of the reasons that we feel we can do that, we were actually talking about this today, is because we do have such a strong collaborative department. Our department, as it stands now, is probably, I mean, like I said, I've been here, it's my 7th year, it's the best we've ever been. So that's really part of what is we can push through when things are tough.
And I'm sure you guys end up being an ear for our teachers too. So, so at least I've heard school counselors end up being. So you guys really don't get much of a break. So it's amazing. Thank you.
I'm just standing.
Yeah.
Talking, and I was trying to have a conversation with Andy about a situation today, and Andy's like, "You're stuffy and you're shoving food in your face." I can't breathe right now. Anyway, I got to talk to you about this. And it's just what you do, And it's the kids in this community are so fantastic. I've worked in plenty of communities where I'm like, okay, how many more days until I can retire? And this isn't one of them, because these are all kids that are really appreciative. Last week, I feel like it was weeks ago already when I talked about a homecoming event, but somebody saw me at lunch on Friday. I do lunch duty. I wasn't going to lunch. I was just doing lunch duty, and they said, "Hey, where were you? You weren't at the bonfire last night. We missed you." And I was like, kid cared that I was not there. Like, it was just so
sweet.
nice, and that speaks to the community in itself too. So being able to work with students like Lila and like Lex, that's always rewarding. But even the tough students that we see every single day, sometimes every single block, it happens. But we have rewarding moments without that too. And so we're just trying to make sure that everybody, knows where doors are open, mostly, where those are. And we're trying to get in the hallways more this year. We have a lot of kids that like to escape out of class and cry by themselves because they don't want anybody to know. And they help me find those people.
We go in the bathroom
in.
quite a bit. The bathroom course.
Yeah.
You don't even have to talk to us if that's not what you need. Sometimes it's just a place to sit, and that's nice too.
We did have a student come down today, and it was really nice because she was like, before last year, I would just go cry in the bathroom because I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. But now, since you guys have been getting out and talking to us more, I feel like I can come down and talk to you, and it just makes the day better. I was like, thank you, because we had a lot of criers in the bathroom, and we have significantly less now. So.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Can I ask real quick, between a school counselor and a social worker, like where's the lane divide between this is my lane and this is your lane?
There is quite a bit of overlap, like the counseling, the classroom lessons. Typically what I would say is if home is getting in the way of the student being at school, that would be my purview. Like if something's going on at home and they're like, I just can't focus, there's not enough food, or mom and dad got in a fight last night. Whereas a counselor would kind of pick up that student if it was like, I have horrible test anxiety and I have no idea what to do with this. That's kind of where we separate things, but there is quite a bit of overlap. We do have weekly counseling meetings where we talk about things, and like if there's a counseling referral, we'll talk about would this be more of a counselor, or would this be a psychologist, or would this be a social worker? So that's kind of how we divide up that.
Okay. Can I ask, on a resume, how could I tell that this is a social worker and this is a school counselor?
A social worker will have their master's in social work.
Okay.
You can become a counselor with a MSW, but you can't become a social worker with a counseling degree.
Okay.
And I'm licensed. Yeah, I'm a licensed independent clinical.
Okay.
I could be a therapist.
Yeah.
You.
You could go out and do private
Okay. And then this last question, and please forgive me if you don't feel comfortable answering this question. Can you tell me how many families you feel like you service in the district?
It's probably going to be
Quite
shocking.
a few.
Yeah.
I would say this year 100 families between school supplies, getting set up with school supplies, and then like 100 so far.
Okay.
School supplies, the warm clothing voucher, and the free and reduced lunch.
Is that in both school buildings?
Combined
No,
or?
that's just the
Okay.
junior, senior high.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
A
So
lot of
there's
there is a lot of overlap.
right. Okay.
Oh, so,
Is it
so that's
siblings?
20%.
Okay. I know, like you said, we were lucky to add another social worker this year. I didn't realize how much the need there was. I'm glad that's there.
And a lot of it does come up in the beginning, so I
Yeah.
don't think there will be a ton of new unless there's move-ins and stuff like that, which there is a significant transient
population, yeah.
In the whole seacoast, but
Right.
particularly in Newmarket. Because we do
20%
have,
of kids.
fortunately, a lot.
Yeah, that's.
And I just want to piggyback off of what Gary says. I've taught in a school building for 18 years, and 2 years ago, as a parent of elementary school, we had to talk to the guidance. It was, but I didn't realize how important that was and how much you guys did, and the hours that went beyond the school day. So I want to say thank you for that, and how lucky that we are as a family to have that department. So thank you.
And Dan learned you should have asked this question earlier.
I mean, it really just comes through plainly how busy you are, how much you're putting into this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, Amy made one of the most important points. These services are really hard to come by in the world at large in this day and age, and I'm confident a lot of our students wouldn't have them if not for this group. So thank you. The other question I had, so you mentioned earlier that you feel like you're busier than you've ever been historically. Help me think about, I guess, from your point of view, how much of that is due to there simply being more underlying issues driven by COVID or whatever else versus just students are more comfortable approaching you, they have a better vocabulary for expressing their challenges. What do you think it's attributable to?
We've seen an uptick even before COVID, like 3-4 years before COVID, there was a significant uptick. We fortunately have the Youth Risk Behavior Survey in New Hampshire that we kind of work off of. And like incidences of depression and anxiety have been on the rise since before COVID. COVID just kind of doubled that down. I think part of it is people do feel more comfortable in general, not just with us talking about mental health. Kids are more accessible through social media, so there's more pressure on them, a little bit more bullying. The spotlight is kind of on them, whereas before you could go home and kind of get away from school a little bit. That doesn't happen as much anymore. So I think it's, a concurrent trend.
We did mention today when we were in with the seniors, as I said earlier too, like, please check your email. There's so many opportunities. So
Talk to Lex. She'll tell you what's the name.
Hey, you might miss out on scholarships. Could be something good. So it's really the best way that, well, you can see them in the classrooms. I mean, Crispy Son pulls down, gets in. She probably gets in 3 times a year to each grade level and does some post-high school planning career. The missing link this year, I think, for us, is we are getting out to do college visits to Empire Beauty School, Mechanical Trade School, so we're doing some trade stuff too out in the community. But I think a missing link for us is to have community members who have an expertise in some area to come into our building. I wanted to be able to run a career fair day. I just don't have the capacity to deal with that this year. They are already going to be doing a wellness day in May. They're working on that as well. But so I'm already thinking maybe next October, to be able to reaching out to somebody in the community and saying, who in this community, is a mechanic, is a doctor, is a lawyer, is a computer programmer that is willing to come in and talk to groups of kids about what's the reality of the day. So even though I can't do something on a bigger scale this year, I even would love to have a few people offer up to come in and maybe go into some classrooms. You know, whether it's sophomore, junior, senior classes. I'm sure I could find teachers that would be willing to let someone come in for a half hour or so. So if you all know people in the community that would be willing to come in to talk to students about what the reality of their different jobs are, then email me, please, because then I'll find a teacher, depending on what the topic is. If it's an art person, then we'll have Miss Blake host that speaker, but I'd love to get career-related speakers in this year, because that's been a huge missing link for these guys. These guys go through and they do their career interest inventories and Naviance, and I'm like, yay, but that doesn't really tell you the reality of what that job is.
Yeah.
You know, you can read everything you want about a job, but is that truly the reality? We all know it's not. So if you all know people in different fields, have them email me.
I do know a computer programmer. and that happens to me. That happens to be me. But other than that, I don't know any mechanics or doctors, so I can't help you there.
She's assuming we know exciting people. And
yeah, that's a good point.
Anybody wants to drive a tractor trailer for a living?
Come see Dan.
I'll set you up.
All types of that would be great for kids to even understand what does that mean and where do you go? What do you need to become a tractor trailer driver? Like, what kind of training? Blah blah blah.
What's your day look like? Yeah.
Do you like it? Are you happy or are you miserable? Like,
Yeah.
it's really just getting to know that kind of stuff, because how else, other than talking to their family members, how else are they going to know? And doing, oh, well, I came out high in education, great, I got to be a teacher. Or I came out high in law enforcement, I want to be a cop. You know, it's like, so it's sterile right now.
It's great that.
Day. Do you remember?
Yeah, and it's great that the ELO and career days like that can really kind of vet out for kids if what they're so passionate about is truly what they're passionate about. I mean, from speaking with you, it's obvious that you were interested in marine biology, and now you really know you are.
Yeah.
So it's being able to vet that for kids early before.
And it's great to see it moving down into secondary. I mean, post-secondary education, this has been a huge thing for years. People taking semesters to do an internship, semesters to do work study. So to see it moving down is great.
Before you go spend the money in college.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I feel like we've kept you way too past your school and work days, but thank you so much for coming in and for all you do.
No, thanks for having us. I think I'll probably end up coming back with Andy January or February to look at the program of studies and any changes then too. So,
Great.
And again, if you have people in the community that are willing to come in to speak with students, you can have them email me and I can work that out. That'd be fabulous.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
night. All right, up next, NEASC self-reflection with, I almost said Dr. Andy, but I'll just call you Andy. Principal Corman.
Such a short pre-read.
Yeah, exactly. How's everybody doing?
Good.
So, this is more of an informational presentation for you. I hope everybody got their 63-page excellent for your nightly reading. I'm sure you all read it. This document represents a lot of hard work by a lot of our junior high and senior high staff. I'm going to call out Stephanie Cleary and Amanda Brower primarily for really shepherding this document to creation, but it's your entire staff last year putting together a really rock-solid document. So this is the first of a few NEASC reports you're going to see over the next couple of years. Essentially, this is your school district, or specifically your high school, taking a mirror out and looking at itself and saying what works, what doesn't, and let's be honest about it. And the document does a really nice job going through some of the standards that NEASC identifies, and it asks the district with obviously it's a teacher input driven program, how are we doing? And how do you know that we're doing that? So you'll see things where there's comments about different standards or different indicators, and then the rationale on why we think we're at that point. So that's what the overall document is. Again, please feel free to read, ask questions if you haven't already.
If you want to skip to the important stuff, if you will, it's the last 2 pages, 61 and 63. These are your Part 5, the priority areas of NEAS School Growth Plan. So these 6 major growth areas are the summation of the prior 60 pages. What you have here are 6 areas that the staff essentially identified as areas that we want to work on to improve our practice and make our educational experience for students better. And some of them are really big picture things, and some of them are really actionable, practical type things. So the first one is that classic vision of a graduate. I can tell you from my work in prior areas, this is an area that most schools across the board fall down on. NEAS is asking specifically for a vision of a graduate. As you can see here, Newmarket simply said, we don't have one, but we're working on it. And this is an easy thing to identify, to work on. Essentially what you're doing here is engaging the community. It's a high school report, and we're talking about a high school accreditation, but it's a K-8 or even pre-K-12 experience. When that student walks across the stage, what does that diploma mean? Not to the educator, not to the principal, or even the school board, your community. What are those transferable skills that we want every kid to be able to express and say, hey, you're a Newmarket grad, that means you can do things like problem solve and self-advocacy and research skills, things that are not content necessarily specific, but have a broader draw across all content areas. And you can start to see what that looks like as a 2nd grader versus a 6th grader versus a 10th grader, and see that skill progression. So the second area there is something that staff have been working on for a while and self-identified as, hey, we're doing good stuff, we want to keep going. This is that understanding by design, the UBD work. Really tying a bow up on a lot of the work that's been happening and coming to you with here is our standard curriculum in a standard format for all of our courses, for all of our high school content. I will tell you that the work, and Patty Wands has been phenomenal with this work, checking in and finding out where we're at with each of our high school core content areas. This is something that's progressing. It's very obvious that there's a lot of time and energy spent on this, and this is one that is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of your vision of a graduate. This is something that I feel is very, very close, and it's obvious when you talk to our staff, this is something they're very passionate about and want to spend time on. I think this is something that when NEAS comes for the decennial, we'll be able to report out and say, 2 or 3 years ago, we were concerned about it, but because of the work we've done since your visit in 2022, we can check that off and say, yeah, we've successfully completed that. I just think that's a really easy one for us. The next one up, and you heard from our wonderful counseling staff, is the intervention strategies. We need to find ways, as you heard, there's a lot of kids with a lot of unique need out there, and we need to find really systemic ways so it doesn't matter which teacher you have, what age you are, what course you're in, that you have access to universal intervention strategies. Identifying them, making them available, making them part of our regular practice is what this priority area is working on. 4 is classic school improvement plan. How are we doing? How do we know we're doing it? And what metrics are we going to use to say 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, 10 years from now? This is one of those things where we will obviously be engaging you folks. It's something that's very important. Typically, this is similar to a vision of a graduate, a bigger process where you want to identify big key drivers around things like equity or technology was a big one last time I was part of one of these, and ensuring, give you an idea of how long ago it was, ensuring every student had one-to-one, and developing that plan of 2 years from now, the school board's responsibility is to budget, the IT department's responsibility is to research, teacher's responsibility is to say, how would we use this? And that becomes part of a bigger document that when decisions have to be made, which we all know happen on a daily basis, and it becomes challenging, you go back to your school improvement plan coupled with your vision of a graduate and say, this is what we believe and this is where we're going. Number 5 is something I think Caitlin and Amanda spoke beautifully to, family information. Just because we do stuff doesn't necessarily mean people know it's available. So finding a way to get the amazing opportunities we have in our building, both from support, enrichment, and extension, out to the community. And by community, I don't just mean kids and families. I mean any community member out there. What are the things that happen at Newmarket Junior Senior High School on a daily basis that the community can be involved in? I think the classic example, I just signed the form this afternoon for Ms. Schaus, the blood drive. We don't have a really good systemic way, other than me writing an email that may or may not get read, to get that information out there. So finding ways to engage the community with that. And then the last one is another one that is always important and always on everyone's mind, school safety. This is an area of always concern. I say it all the time, the dirty secret in school is school's hard, and our job is to make sure that we can do everything we can to have students access it. And if there are things in the way, and I mean safety as in physical safety, psychological safety, and emotional safety, that are impeding the process for that learning to take place, we have to respond. So this group is made up of a wide variety of stakeholders, from counselors and resource officers to our school nurse and teachers, and they're going to be working on developing a safety plan, some of it purely operational, i.e., you know, we can't get into our building without a key card or buzzing the door, and some of it more, how do we respond when a student's struggling, and what's our approach? So those are the 6 major priority areas. All of our staff last month identified I made them rank choice which ones they were interested in. Next Wednesday, they're about to get an email from me. Breaking news. Schedule send is my favorite thing. That has them in groups, so everybody got their first or second choice and everybody has this document, but I resent it with kind of the marching orders of, here are 3 or 4 big questions I have, reading the report, here's some ways to guide it, and let's start working on because they're basically passion projects for the teachers. This is an area I'm interested in. Let's start working on how we can address intervention strategies or school improvement or vision of graduate, and really having them start to work through that. That's this second Wednesday, so I think the 12th. They're going to start working as a group with that. Also, newsflash for you guys, you're going to get a official invitation from me for your request to participate. NEAS will be visiting us on the 25th and 26th of October. I have to cheat. We have you guys as a potential, and feel free, obviously people are busy, for an invitation to speak directly with the visiting committee on the 26th, so Wednesday the 26th, from 7:40 to 8:25 in the counseling conference room. You're going to get a digital Etsy invite from me, but just if you want to throw that on your calendar, if you're available, we'll gladly provide coffee and breakfast for you. But it's an opportunity for you.
Now we know it's AM. Now we know it's AM.
I heard muffins? Yes. Listen, the same way. It's an opportunity for you in your position as board to speak directly to the accreditation team that's going to be here. This is something that's not always part of this round of NEASC visit. This is more them talking to staff, but conversation with Todd, and we really thought this would be a great opportunity for you all to have the chance to weigh in on what you think the school's doing and where we can improve, and share your thoughts with the NEASC committee. Just kind of a general overview. They'll be here in our buildings on Tuesday, the 25th through the 26th. Having gone through this process as a visitor, it's a lot of work on their end. They're going to be in our building all day. They have a pretty packed schedule of facilities tour, meet and greet. They ask questions about if they had any issues with anything we wrote, and then they do basically 4 hours of meetings and observations. They'll be around the school asking questions, talking to kids. We have a parent forum, a student forum, and a staff forum, which is all unscripted, and people have asked, what questions are they going to ask? They say, I don't know, but whatever they ask, please just be honest. We're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to get an honest, open evaluation of the great work we're doing. And people have been really receptive to that. I got a lot of feedback from the email I sent last week of parent volunteers. And then on Wednesday, they hopefully get to meet with you guys, and then they take some collaborative time to kind of bunker down in a conference room, and they talk about what they saw, what they want to write, where they think we are. And then after that, they come out and speak directly to the NEAS steering committee, and I'm going to invite, usually it's their chair, they kind of internally make the decision, but some representative from the visiting group, the opportunity to come and address the entire staff on the visit and what worked and what didn't and where they see us going. It's kind of like a sneak preview of their initial thoughts before they write their official document. And it's a great opportunity for staff, in my opinion, having been on both sides of this, it's a nice closure moment for everybody. These 2 days, regardless of how much I front load, regardless of how much I talk, natural anxiety. It's like the first day of school. You know it's coming, you're still nervous about it. You know they're coming, there's nothing we can do, we're not asking you to do anything, just operate like we always do. But I know staff and students are going to be anxious. Who are these people in the building? What's going on? No matter how much we communicate out to them, it's a new person. What are they doing? So I am actually really excited. The gentleman's name is Paul, who's the board, who's going to be the visiting chair, and told him I would absolutely love for you to, it's a Wednesday, it's a staff meeting Wednesday, so it's a shorter day. They're done at 1:45, so if I can convince him to hang out for 15 minutes to come and speak to the staff, I think it's a great opportunity to really put closure on the event. So that's kind of I had. I'd love to answer any questions you guys had about anything NEASC related.
Could I just jump in with a couple of thoughts? First of all, thanks, I appreciate it. First of all, the transparency in the process is really the critical element to us really doing an honest look at ourselves and making adjustments. And I do have to say, having read the self-study report, it is a very transparent look at ourselves. And I think I can't say enough how valuable that is for a new principal like Andy to be able to walk in, have an honest reflection on who we are that allows him to kind of figure out like, what's the direction the whole program needs to go. So I have to commend Andy and his staff for just how incredibly transparent they're being. And again, with the NEASC here, I similar to Andy, I encourage everybody to be as transparent as possible. You know, the old NEASC model, you often heard people say like terms like it was a dog and pony show, things like that. That is not what we're trying to accomplish here. We want these experts who are coming to spend a couple of days with us to give us honest feedback, and that will help guide our growth. So that's really exciting. The other thing I did want to mention is we've heard about a variety of things tonight in multiple presentations that I think are key pieces that eventually this the priority areas for growth of the school improvement plan will pull together. We've heard about ELOs, which are a wonderful element. We've heard about, in fact, Andrew mentioned that we had discussed the graduation requirements, policies, looking at all kinds of aspects of the program, vision of a graduate, kind of pulling them all together so that all of these individually great things that we're offering can somehow be pointed in the same direction and creating the kind of positive experience we want for all of our kids. And I think this is a great opportunity for that. So certainly following the visit in October or later this month, Andy and I and his Vision of a Graduate team will be having some conversation about how to roll this out to the community, how to engage the community in this conversation. Because as Andy pointed out, it's not just a high school conversation. This is, you know, kids don't just magically arrive on the stage at graduation having had things imparted on them. They've spent 13 years in our system, and it all has to kind of work together to get the best bang for our buck. And I think this NEASC work is an opportunity for that. So thanks for hearing me out.
Well, towards transparency and disclosure, tell Paul that if he doesn't stay for 15 minutes, he's no longer welcome in my home, since I've known him for probably 15 years plus. So
what is happening?
I know it's.
That doesn't feel very transparent.
He was my wife's principal for many years. So yeah, yeah, it's a small world apparently educationally.
Well, in the spirit of transparency, there's a former coworker from Portsmouth who's on the visiting committee. So.
It's a small state.
Yes.
Yes.
Andy, I think first off, this is a great job. I'm so amazed with this, not only like how in depth it is, but also like how honest it is. That says a lot about the people that wrote it. I have a question for you, and it's going to come off as a gotcha, and that is not my intention at all. I want you to know that, okay? And school safety is something that's really personal to me, and I always struggle between being logical about it and being emotional about it. And you had mentioned that the need for school safety and kind of the summary at the end. And then on page 55, it talks about that there has not been a training for staff and students about ALICE to date. Last week, we were told there had been. and that was ADD. I just want to make sure that there's a discussion at some point about how to better like train people about it. And I'll say, if it's a time issue, I will tell you that at the beginning of the school year this year, I sat down, the SRO went down to the individual departments and just talked about the process. And I will tell you, I learned more in that small group during that 30 minutes I had in 17 minutes. Or 17 years of this training. So if it's a time issue, that's a great way to accomplish it. But I just want to make,
No,
I just, yeah.
absolutely. So just to be clear, this report was written last year.
Okay.
And it was due, so to speak, because different groups wrote it out. It was due, my understanding is they put some deadlines on them for March.
Okay.
I will tell you that we opened this year with a safety training from Rich McFadden. And it was very well received, and I agree with you, it is always that, I'm fairly pragmatic by nature, but safety is one of those things that emotionally just spikes with me. And I can tell you, the staff were very appreciative. Rich and I were talking this morning. The other piece to safety, and I would be remiss not to mention him, is the great work Dave Riley and facilities do. Man shows up every day with the mission of what can I do for you to make education better in your building? And it's very clear. And in the safety aspect, it's like, what do we need to do to address some of the safety concerns that were brought up by some of the issues last year? And I would concur with you that this report reflects their status at the time. My belief, and hopefully I'm not proven wrong, is that a lot of those fears have been addressed. So we did the initial training, and I'm not a one and done, check it off kind of guy. The safety team, the safety group is meeting Wednesday to go over things. The first thing I tasked them with is something that I've always been accustomed to that we don't have, and I'm sure you now have important is those classroom flip charts. With due respect to policy, and as someone who does love policy, I don't need the 14-page policy on what to do when a kid has a seizure. I need the flip chart that says, clear the space, protect their head, call the nurse. And that flip chart mentality for all those type of events is what I told Rich, I said, he asked, he goes, all right, we're meeting Wednesday, we've got an hour and a half, I'm ready to go, we're ready to go, what's your number one priority? I said, I'd love a flip chart for every classroom for the top 12 most common things that are gonna happen in this building by Christmas. He said, will do, boss.
Awesome.
And I gave him 4 or 5 different samples from places I've been. And it sounds silly, but when anyone who's ever been in a crisis moment knows that happens, and if you have a resource and you have something to calm you down, it's really helpful. And I think it's not from a top down. This safety group is made up of a lot of teachers from a lot of different places, and who have a lot of different levels of educational experience. We have people who are my longest tenured teacher, and I have a new first-year teacher on this committee. So to provide different viewpoints, I'm very similar to the UBD work. This is one I think we can knock out of the park very quickly and get people to a point they feel established. But again, it is not a one and done. You need to continually review safety. The staff, one of the other questions with them is how do we incorporate it age appropriately? Because what you talk to a 6th grader about from a safety perspective versus a high schooler or a senior is different, and having those conversations and building that repertoire is what this group is really working on.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Don't worry. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
The heads up on the gotcha. No worries.
Flip charts are great, but I think with it needs to go that the kind of training and that kind of throughout the year, just kind of go into a classroom and say, hey, Johnny's having a seizure, what do you do?
Yeah. And
to get them to know where the book is, to go to the page, because
Rich McFadden is phenomenal. And with due respect to Lynn Thomas, who's the SRO enforcement, who I love, Rich is cut from the same mold, and that he offered that up to staff. Hey, if you want me to come in and we can talk about if this situation happens, what's it look like in your room? You're on a 2nd floor room. This is a different approach than 1st floor. You're in the older part of the buildings, and revisiting that constantly.
But even the pop quiz sort of thing where they don't know it's coming, and you just be like, so they know where the book is, and that puts them in a little bit of a crisis thing, right? They're like, what do you do?
The anxiety moment,
Yeah, and it's so helpful just to do those little tiny things. So.
You could have the drama club.
We could do that. We could do that. We might get told for that, but we could do that.
It is. Since we're on the topic of safety practices, I have a question. It's okay if you can't answer it right now. As a student, with the exception of last week's suicide prevention training, I haven't received any safety training since middle school, so I was wondering if there were any imminent plans to educate students.
So the education
Great
pathway which is evident in here, was it's completely lacking. I need to train staff and then train students. So the staff got the first round of training. We're scheduling the second one here shortly, hopefully in November, and then we're going to go full on of information with students. Again, we need to be very clear and differentiate. The conversation you and I can have about what happens if an event happens is different than a sixth grader. To be honest, those resources are available. We don't have them on hand yet, but that we would never under any circumstance want to surprise or got you in any type of that safety related thing. So our plan is to finalize a bit of this draft work that's happening and then transition our training down to students and then start running some actual drills. Rich and I talked a lot about that. Not to the point of trying to scare anyone and be transparent about it, but just so you know, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. So.
Yeah, thank you. So obviously it's in very early stages, but would the timeline for this be end of this year, beginning of next? Okay.
Yes, end of this just to be clear, was your question end of this calendar year or end of this school year?
Either.
I'd love to say end of this calendar year. Part of it is resource limitation. Some of the trainings are resource limited. 100% before the end of this academic year. My goal would be before February break at the latest.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lola, for bringing a student's perspective in.
Always.
It's really great to have.
Is there anything else I could help you with?
Thank you so much.
I thought it was awesome. Like I mean, the superintendent alluded to it. Like with these self-reflective activities, it's really easy to give yourself a pass a lot of times, and there was very clearly in this, like we were not giving ourselves a pass anywhere, and it felt very much like there's a lot of instruments being played incredibly across the district. It's just getting them together into an orchestra.
Nicely put. Yeah, nicely put. Well, thank you so much. You've had a long day as well. So I do hope you go home and can rest.
Yes.
Get some food.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we'll move right into our discussion items. First up being public correspondence. Superintendent Allen, did you happen to get any public correspondence you'd like to share?
Can you hear us?
You asking me?
There's another superintendent. Oh, I'm sorry, Superintendent Allen. Yes, that would be you.
Yeah, actually, I have a couple of public correspondence that I'd love to share. We received, as I said, received some feedback from the football parents that we met with. They had reached out, and that was a very positive response, and so they were very, very appreciative of the fact that Jamie and I take the time to meet with them and to talk about it and to show our mutual value in football program. And then we also got an email which I was very touched by. I think it was sent to the whole board, Gary, from Marianne Nice.
No, it was just to just to me. So, and it was to you folks, and I was CC'd off the board. So.
Yeah, it was just a wonderful email from community members who were basically saying to us that they really appreciated the openness and the optimism of the school, and that they felt like their particularly Spirit Week at the high school really made such a big difference to their child this year. There were just so many normal, happy, sort of high schoolish kind of things going on. It just it was really positive. So it was really touching to get that, and I have shared it with my whole leadership team.
Yep.
Is that something, Gary, you can forward to the rest?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes, I will, and I should have. I apologize. It wasn't addressed to the board, but I don't think it's fine, so I definitely will. Great. Next, we'll move on to school board goals. There's not really a ton of update. I just wanted to talk briefly about goals and timelines. Primarily, the reason the goals are on here is because it occurred to Todd and I that while we discussed it and we agreed on it at our retreat, we never formally, I don't think, voted on making those as our goals. Did we?
I feel like we did, but I have to look at the minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I
remember.
We couldn't recall it, so we thought we would put it on to do again. In the agenda items, you'll see that. we've already accomplished one of the goals, which is good. We've got a superintendent item. We've already got a great start on the second goal with Dan's work, and then Amy, I know, has been doing some work towards that goal. So, and then obviously we've been hearing about the vision of a graduate from Principal Corman. So I think we're well on the way. But that was the only reason goals are on there at this point. Unless anyone has any updates they want to share on there. Nope. Great. All right. Final budget calendar. So you'll see if you turn to the budget calendar that there was some. Sorry, I can't find the page.
Basically, it was, what we shared with you is we've vetted our budget calendar through council just to make sure we're meeting all our statutory requirements. And so the calendar you have received is as close to a final calendar as we can give, with short of some of the town set deadlines that we're still waiting on.
Is there any discussion about the calendar, which I cannot find?
Not really.
Yeah.
Obviously, this works for what the budget committee wants to do, so.
Yeah. So obviously we're meeting on the 17th, and then the meeting of the election will be on the 14th. So.
Oh, that's on our meeting day. Oh, no, is it?
No, we're
The-
meeting on the 25th, or excuse me, the 17th at
Yeah, no, I
12 to
have
4.
that.
Is the whole day. And
Right.
There's the
27th is what? That's a,
That's a regular.
The 20th?
That's a regular
Yeah.
board meeting, right?
That should be
no.
the 20th.
It should be the 20th because our meeting would be the 20th, not the 27th. That's why I was
The math
questioning.
checks out.
Huh?
The math
So apparently,
checks
I'm
out.
sorry, I guess you can't hear us very well. Apparently, there's after the October 17th meeting, the next board meeting would be on October 20th, and it sounds like the 27th is not a Thursday.
It is a Thursday.
Oh, it is a
but
Thursday.
It's not, yeah.
Oh, but it's the following Thursday.
Yeah.
So the question is this, are we planning on having
Like a
An
separate
interim.
presentation
Session?
separate from a board meeting?
Board meeting, yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's because we had the work session that we thought about maybe skipping that
Well, you
meeting.
know what? I have it in here as the 27th board meeting. Remember we changed them because we had changed the dates. So maybe it was based on that. I don't know. What do you have?
So the 27th, so this was when I brought up the issue about like how last month had 5 Thursdays. I just wanted to make sure it was the first and
Yep.
the third one.
Right.
And October 27th is the fourth one. So I was safe to buy my tickets to Rail Montaigne on the 27th.
Right.
So that was the one that we were not planning a meeting. That the 20th would be
Right. The next board meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say a presentation, a public presentation on the final budget on the 20th would be hard to do, given that we're going to do the workshop on the 17th. That would only give us
Oh, yeah.
3
Yeah.
days internally to finalize. My thought would be, you just have that board presentation on the 3rd.
Yep.
And then we can always do an extra, because there's actually a November 10th, there's an extra meeting in there as well in November.
Yep, so that makes sense. So the 27th, we'll just have a, well, do we want to strike that entirely then, since you're going to be out and
Yeah.
unavailable? And then just have a regular meeting on the 20th, just not a presentation of the budget? Does that make sense, Todd? Okay. All right.
So what we're doing is adding a meeting on the 10th of November.
Well, it sounds like it because,
We have the 3rd, the 10th,
The
the
first.
17th for budget delivery.
Oh, I see what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah, I think it's just that the workshop, the 3rd meeting will become a presentation instead of a workshop.
Right.
on the 3rd?
November 3rd.
Would
See,
have to be
if you look at the
Oh,
calendar,
yeah,
it
yeah,
shows it
yeah.
as a workshop.
Yeah, so that you're just changing the one that was going to be on the 27th to the 3rd.
Yeah.
So does
And-
that give us, I mean, what we're doing is sort of basically eliminating a meeting. Does that give us enough time? I don't know, this is my first time at the school.
No, you're right, we are, and if we had to, we could pivot and add something in between there. It might not be on a Thursday. It might be on a Saturday, but yeah, if we had to do that.
So it says on November 10th we're meeting as well, right?
Is continued. Yep, the workshop's continued. So, had it taken, if it takes 2 workshops, which it normally I don't think does, So it depends on how we feel it
The
goes
third
on
goes.
the
The
third.
third is not a work, is the third gonna be?
The third would be a
regular
present,
meeting, or just
it'd be a
present-
presentation / regular meeting. So we'd probably do some other business.
So he's just moving what was gonna be on the 27th to the 3rd.
Yep. And then
And then if we need more time, we
So
may
the
have
first
to meet
workshop would be the
additional-
10th, and if we feel like we need more time, we may need to do something on that weekend or a following weeknight.
I mean, I would prefer we had it planned out what day we're gonna do, so that we had like it on calendars as opposed to, oh, we have
Sure.
to add this in 2 days, and then people are like,
Sure.
make it.
Yeah, I would assume that on the 20th, even though we wouldn't be ready to make that first official presentation to the board, we would probably have a conversation about what we discussed. So I'm assuming there'll be budget dialogue there. So that would certainly help us move the process along.
I mean, what was the thinking behind needing 2 budget workshops?
It's
After having
it's
that
like
half-day work
it's
session.
like you said, having it on the calendar in case they're needed, right? So hopefully it'd be one workshop when we go through the presented material if we've had time to synthesize it at home.
It's always easier to knock them off the calendar
Yeah.
than to add them.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to err on the side of caution, we could add something between the 10th and the 17th. So we'd still have 2 workshops. Last year we didn't use
I don't know
more
if
than one.
Yeah, I don't know if
I don't know if we even had one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd
think
use
we said
last
the
year as a guide, but I don't,
I think we said the presentation, right?
yeah. Or that we have the opportunity to discuss and ask questions.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it
so that would have
wasn't-
been the workshop, yeah. So we only use one.
Yeah. I do remember meeting multiple Thursdays in a row last year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can meet on the 10th, in case when I keep that on the.
Well, we're definitely keeping the 10th.
It's just,
I
are we
mean-
adding another one?
It's just, are we adding one between the
Yeah,
10th and the
because we're getting
17th?
rid of the 27th.
Yeah.
So 10th and the 7th.
So Todd, what
Hmm.
day, well, was it work day, I assume would be better for you than a weekend?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Gary. Can you say that again?
Sure, so if we were to try to schedule something between the 10th and the 17th, I presume that doing something during the work week would be better for you than on the weekend? Yep.
So you're thinking of finding something between November 10th and November 17th if we needed it?
Correct.
Okay. I'll go with the flow. Do whatever the board needs. If you want to do it on a weekend, we can do that.
That's a long weekend too, because of Veterans Day.
Oh, you're right.
So it'd be that Tuesday or the Wednesday. Personally, I think we'd be safe. I keeping what we have, but then again, like I haven't been through a normal cycle.
Yeah, I don't, I'd be surprised if we needed an extra one. However, it would be, I think it'd be a good idea, as Phil said, just to put something on the calendar. I'm fine, weekend, Veterans Day, any day, like, I could try to make it work. Obviously, evenings are better for us, but it's not fair to Todd. But, I mean, is anyone going away on the Veterans Day weekend? Do it from 8 to 12 on a Saturday? Okay, that was a...
How do you feel about that?
How do you really
Be
feel,
honest,
Phil?
yeah.
Let the record show that Phil knows how
Every
groaned.
minute I give out with my kids matters to me, that's what I think.
I understand.
Can I throw out an idea? And please,
Sure.
and please shoot me down. Can you hear me okay, Todd?
Yes.
What would we do if we could do 5 o'clock on the 14th? That'd be a Tuesday, right?
No.
Monday.
It's a Monday.
Monday.
Oh,
November.
okay.
We're on November.
So if we did the 15th on that Tuesday, personally, I don't think we're going to need it, but it would be there.
Well,
Could we?
the other option is
I can't
starting
do
the...
fif-
You can't?
Well, the other option is starting the meeting on the 10th earlier to give us more time.
So starting like at 4?
Well, it doesn't give us a heck of a lot more
That's
time, but...
State Board,
Yeah.
That's the State Board of Education Day, I cannot tell you that I'm back early.
Okay.
Just even doing it on
The
5
16th?
Sixteenth?
none of these are really any better or any
Yeah,
worse
they're
for
all,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, 16th at 5 is 5 to 7.
And that's to
5
be
to 8.
determined, right?
Yeah, it's
If
tentative.
necessary.
Tentative.
Necessary.
Yeah.
So what day did we just decide?
No idea. The 16th.
The 16th, 5 to 7, as necessary.
Yeah, having not gone through this process with this board before, I don't know how much deliberation time you're gonna need, so obviously you guys know yourselves better.
And we've never been through it as a board, right?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll put that. We'll add that to the calendar. Appreciate everyone's flexibility.
And November 16th as an as-necessary meeting?
Yep, 5 to 7 as necessary, or 5 to 8, whatever it turns out to be. All right. So with those changes, so that would be October 17th would be a regular. No, sorry. The October 17th is the budget workshop. The 20th would be. Are we having the 20th?
A regular board
scheduled meeting.
Yeah.
27th would be
Gone.
gone. And the 3rd would be the fiscal year 24 budget overview presentation,
Which is our regular.
Yeah, it's a
which is a regular date. 10th would be workshop as it stands, and November 16th would be an additional workshop day.
Yep.
Okay.
So with those changes that I'm sure Penny is furiously writing down right now, what that would be our final budget timeline. So we're going to look to approve that in a few minutes if people are okay with that. All right. Discussion item number 4, joint budget discussion. I was talking, I don't know who I was talking with, someone in the town, and it occurred to me that that it'd be useful for sorry, can you hear me okay? It occurred to me that it would be useful for the town and the school board, or at least someone from it, to meet and kind of discuss the overall effect that our budget changes, or prospective budget changes, would have on the tax rate, just so we're thinking in unity as opposed to not having consideration for the impact that we may have on the other unit, for lack of a better word, municipal governing body. So I suggested that to Todd and Tony Weinstein, Steve and Jana and Bill are all going to have a meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I believe it is, just to get an idea of each other's budgets, so we can, during our workshops, be a little bit more informed. So, wanted you to be aware of that. So, there, as far as calendar, there is a conflict with a February vacation with a proposed calendar, or school board calendar, I should say, which is, do you have that?
The first meeting in March.
Yeah, the first meeting in March. So, Todd, what were we proposing to do with that?
You're on mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you now.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I think you're muted.
I'm mute.
All right, sorry, first time that's happened tonight. That's pretty good. You were gonna discuss it, Gary, because that's right around the time of the vote, and whether or not.
Oh, thank you very much.
prior to this meeting of the new board, or-
Thank you very much. Yeah, so it's entirely possible that there are 2 seats open for that election. So scheduling a meeting, the meeting's options are, I think it was the 7th. What were the dates available again?
It would be
It'd be
well,
this.
if we stick with Thursdays, it would be the 9th.
Yeah, which is right before the election.
Election will be on the 14th.
On the 14th. So it,
The 16th. The regular dates would have been the 2nd and the 16th.
Correct.
yeah, but because of the school vacation, the 2nd is
So if we bump the 2nd to the
9th, then it's 5 days before the election where 2 seats are being vacated, possibly being vacated. So it feels odd to have a school board meeting right before, so close to an election, but if the other members of the board don't have a problem with it, then.
That's just the way it works in town government, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other option is to have it immediately following the election, which might
We
even
already
be.
have that scheduled.
Yeah,
16th.
the 16th.
Do we have the 16th scheduled? Yeah, so,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we could do the 9th and the 23rd then.
Doesn't, that's fine with me. I don't know about everyone, but.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be past the budget. I mean, at that point, you're really just, you got to get together to approve the things we got to approve, but there's nothing
Yeah.
hanging over our heads.
Yeah. If I was going to talk about anything around this, it would be that if we meet the 16th, it should be like an organizational meeting. Like something that is separate from a regular meeting that's just like vote
Sure.
for people into positions or appoint and like
Mhm.
just do the organization of the board.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Unless it's not like super pressing things. Like it'd be weird for someone to be voted on a Tuesday and all of a sudden be like, have to vote on stuff 2 days later.
Right.
The 9th and the 23rd. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Makes sense.
I think it makes more sense,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
I mean, we could still do the organizational meeting on the 16th if you wanted to, or we can just do it as part of the 23rd meeting.
I think we could just 23rd work for that.
Okay. All right, Todd, we decided the 9th and the 23rd, if you heard that. I'm going to take your silence to mean you're completely on board with us. Look at the 9th and the 23rd.
Is he?
All right, thank you. Thank you for jogging my memory. Next up, we have first read of policy DJE, purchasing requirements, which is revision. JLCG, exclusion of students from school for illness, revision. And JLCGR, an addendum to exclusion of students, revision.
Yes. So, and please, if either of you guys have anything to add, please jump in. So DJE, the bidding one, the revision there is increasing the dollar amount from $2,500 to $5,000 to when we need to get competitive quotes, and that's just surely just based on the increase of cost of everything else. That they're going to be running into that a lot more.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the only thing. And then GLCJ, the exclusion of students from illness, is just basically updating it based on school board association's recommendation. And then the addendum to it, the R, is what the Todd and the nurses kind of sat down with to hash out to make it more clear cut exactly when a school would have to be, a student would have to be stay at home, and either one of them can explain what a more than often stools is. I can't. So they volunteered to do that. So.
I think I asked that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like we need an explanation of that as such as anyone else on
I
the
think
board.
that's a little
Your folks are good
too
with that?
in-depth.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily depressing that it's 2022 and we have to bring polio back into the discussion.
It is very
We
sad.
are where we are.
Yes.
I will say that this was presented to us for the first time maybe a couple months ago, and we asked for a little bit more clarification, and they came back and did that. And I'm impressed with the work that both Todd and the nurses did. So thank you for that.
Great, thank you very much. With that,
If
we'll,
I could just add
oh,
one other piece to that too, could be, what changes in the policy is it expands exclusions from just medical. It also allows for a student when they're, if they're dangerous to themselves or others, it expands the policy to allow us to potentially take action if we feel a situation warrants it. So it goes beyond just the medical. It could also be mental health and or just safety.
Thank you for the clarification. I forgot to mention that.
all right. With that, at 6:55 p.m., we'll open the floor, public comment. Seeing no one here at 6:55 p.m., we will close public comment. But I'm a stickler for the details. All right, moving right along, approve the September 1st public and September 1st non-public meeting minutes. You will see, I will seek a motion in a second. You'll notice that September 15th is non-public is included in here as well. Since it's not on the agenda, I'm going to suggest that we table approving those to the next meeting and properly identify it.
If it's not on the agenda, we don't have to table it, right?
Well, that's a good point. I'm suggesting we ignore it completely
Ignore
then.
it.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
All right.
There is a mistake on the first one. You want me to bring it up now or after the motion?
I think we should do the motion first.
Okay.
All right.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Nazaro, Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion?
On the one for the first, it says I was remote on the 15th.
Gotcha, thank you. And additionally, on the item, the public meeting minutes for the first, Lilla's name is spelled incorrectly. It's Lilla. But Bozek is correct. So kudos on that. All right. With that, any more discussion? No. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Manifests, lottery over there somewhere?
I move to approve the manifest in the amount of $1,403,243.87.
We have a second?
I'll second. Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it, Amy.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have approval of the superintendent, the superintendent contract for the year 2023-24. Is there any discussion, or does the board have a desire to go into non-public to discuss the contract at all?
Have we seen it?
I know, we haven't seen
I haven't seen it.
No, you haven't seen it.
So we typically see it first, right?
That's true. I should have had them.
Yeah.
You're right. It's what we discussed previously, but you're right. We should have had them. I
Right.
should
Yeah,
have had them.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's all good, but
I know.
No,
Just-
you're
vote on
completely
something,
completely
I wanna
right.
get it
Right.
done.
Yep.
I
No,
feel
you're
the
completely
same.
right. All right. I will make sure we send that out. And apologies on my oversight.
It's okay.
Todd, you're still only employed for 1 year.
That's okay. I'm in no hurry.
All right.
We're in a hurry to lock you down, though.
Well, that's just it. Next up, approval of the school board goals that I'm going to strike the word timeline. So I seek a motion to approve the school board goals we presented.
So moved. Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Second.
Amy Pilton, Dan Smith, or reapprove them, whatever we've done. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Seek a motion to approve the budget timeline as presented or revised tonight, excuse me.
So moved.
Second.
Andrew Hamaker, Bill Lazaro. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next up, we have some oh my gosh. We got the donation. We was lucky to have a donation from the Backyard Bash fundraising program. They'd like to donate $500 to the cheer team. And we also have 6 families who no longer attend the school would like to donate the remaining positive balances from their food service account, $59.60, to support other students in the district.
Do we have to move motion to accept them separately, or can we accept them?
I'm going to say together. So I'd seek a motion to accept both generous, there I said it, donations.
So moved.
Second.
I'm proud of myself. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We do not have any personnel matters tonight,
Hallelujah.
so we can skip that.
Nice.
And we do have a brief non-public update, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, we can. We can.
It's-
I can bring you up to speed on the most recent information.
Okay. So with that, I'd seek a motion to go into non-public pursuant to RSA 91A3 I lowercase.
L.
I think it's L.
L is legal.
Yeah, L's legal, and I'm trying to think through the, yep, to the fact that it's discussing a legal matter, and discussing it in public may compromise the legal matter. Slash seeking advice from a lawyer.
Second.
All right. Dan, Amy. All right. Time for this is 7:01. All right, by roll call vote. Dan Smith.
Aye.
Gary Swanson, aye. Amy Tilton.
Aye.
Andrew Hammaker.
Aye.
Phil Nazaro.
Aye.
All right. With that, we are in non-public. Todd, we will.